Welcome to MotoMouths, the podcast for MotoGP, motorsports, and more. I'm your host, Zoe, and call me pollen/Coldplay because I'm yellow.
Do you have jaundice?
No, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Oh my God.
So, we're keeping that, right?
Yeah. Who are you?
Call me Zoe, because I am take two, but better. We're really going through it, as you can tell.
This podcast is off to a great start. We are 14 episodes in and already far off the rails.
And you know what? I think there's only uphill momentum from here.
Speaking of uphill momentum from here, Jorge Martin is out of the hospital and out of, where was he? Qatar?
Yeah, dude was still in the Middle East.
So, not to talk about Jorge Martin for 2 minutes at the top of the pod, but he's alive.
He's back. And the good news is that he did have 11 fractures on his ribs, but as of, I think, the other day, I think 5 or 6 of them are supposed to have kind of already started to close up, which is great news for him. He still is broken, but he is less broken than previously anticipated.
Jesus Christ.
So what that kind of means for the year is there's a chance we'll see him in 2 or 3 months instead of 4 or 5.
But here's the thing. Knowing his luck, in 2 or 3 months, he's going to get on a bike and he's going to break a bunch of shit again. So just take the season off.
Yeah, but they don't think like that.
I know they don't, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
So, speaking of stupid, how about our Jerez predictions?
Oh, they were bad.
They were really, really bad. We got 0 for 0.
Yeah. We got real 0.
So, to go over predictions from Jerez and the weekend that we just witnessed, you said Fail King Pedro Acosta, who came 7th. P3, Frankie Morbidelli, who did not finish.
That was a rough one.
P2, Alex, who did not get P2. P1, Marc Marquez. Womp womp.
I don't want to talk about it.
We will talk about it. And then I said Fail King Fabio Quartararo. You're welcome, Fabio, for my reverse curse. P3, I said Marco Bezzecchi. P14. P2, I said Pecco. He was P3. And P1, I also said Mark. So we also said that there would be weeping on the track this year, and there wasn't.
I mean, metaphorically, will it be?
That's true. So maybe that is a win.
Some people didn't cry?
Maybe that is a win. Really 0 for 0. Just nothing but zeros. Everything but net.
We're mixing metaphors here. I think we had the spirit, though. We were moving in the right direction.
Okay.
I do really just want to talk about Fabio Quartararo.
Yeah.
Remember when we were talking during the preseason about Yamaha maybe being good, and then they kind of weren't good, and Honda's been good, and now Yamaha in the last 2 weekends has actually been pretty sick?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
That is great. And you know what? What a birthday gift to Fabio. He did such a good job all weekend, except
for when he didn't.
Except for when he didn't. So should we just get into it?
Yes. So we really should start with the quali sessions, in which 2 things I think of note happened. One is that Mark had quite a few technical issues through the first couple of practice sessions of the weekend, so hadn't really been able to get representative time on the board, but was looking good. So when Q2 ended up rolling around, Mark had kind of been all over the place, and he comes out and with his first flying lap of Q2 sets a record-breaking lap, kind of out of nowhere.
Just Mark things.
Exactly. And I'm obviously very biased.
She's wearing Marc Marquez merch for those audio listeners out there, which would be all of them.
But that lap, watching him put in that first flying lap of Q2 was something beautiful. And I think he put 8/10 on the rest of the grid just with that one lap. It was insane. It was an insane sequence of events. So the expectation then at that point is pretty much that Mark has pole Sona, which would keep his pole securing rate of 2025 at 100%, which is insane also. About, 2 minutes before the end of Q2, Fabio Quartararo, who's on his fuck-ass Yamaha, comes out of nowhere to set an even faster lap to take pole from pole merchant Marc Marquez, which was also a beautiful lap to watch.
Yeah. What a wild way to start the weekend this was.
Yeah. And Pecco had a couple of crashes. Alex had 2 very, very insane crashes. I think Frankie also crashed early on. So did a good amount of the KTM squad. Yeah, I think it was just a kind of crazy weekend, especially with qualifying. And then the sprint was really exciting because you've got Fabio Quartararo, who hasn't won a race in over 1,000 days or been on a podium in 1,000 days or something. And he was coming from pole. And conveniently, he likes this track. He's done well at this track. And the Yamaha bike this year seems to favor tracks like this. And so it was a really exciting way to start Sprint Saturday going into the GP on Sunday.
Sprint Saturday was also interesting because Marc Marquez retained his 100% sprint win stat for the season.
Yes.
So sprint merchant, pole merchant, Marc Marquez.
It's crazy. Like, those are some insane stats.
And then the other thing, again, you had a really, really strong showing from Alex, and their little cult conducting on the podium was so eerie and cute.
Yes, like that is the perfect combination. It's like really off-putting.
It is so off-putting, but like in a sweet way.
But it's very sweet. But yeah, then we get to the podium and it's Marc, Alex, and Pecco once again
is just there.
To
me, it was like Pecco's face was like a wasp watching a large Jewish family dance the hora for the first time.
For a split second, I thought you actually meant the bug. And I was like, Zoe, why did you go straight for the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant? She means the bug. And then you actually ended up going for the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. And you're right. Speaking of white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, they didn't do any champagne celebrating this whole weekend.
Okay. Let's talk
for
about
respect of the Pope.
The Pope of it all.
And it is Spain. Like, let's remember.
Fabio Quartararo.
French.
Noted Frenchman. I think probably the most iconic move of all time to have his tits out during the moment of silence for Pope Francis.
And I think Francis would have supported that.
I'm not going to say the F word they love to say.
He did love to say a certain slur affectionately.
As if he were in the crowd.
In the culture.
Should we hold a moment of silence for Pope Francis?
No.
Okay. Just wondering. Everyone else did. So I guess that does bring us into Sunday.
Yeah, and I think there is a through line from Saturday to Sunday that I found very funny, which was Maverick Vinales.
Yes.
Against everyone in the world's expectation. Is somehow proving to be consistent.
Consistent question mark?
Consistent question mark.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me because he did well at Coda. He did well during the sprint. And then lo and behold...
Well, he was supposed to be on the podium in Qatar.
Yeah.
Before the tire pressure penalty.
2 out of 5 races is a really pretty good start to the season.
Exactly.
Wild.
The last word I think anyone who's been following MotoGP for a couple of years would use for Maverick Vinales is consistent.
What's his deal?
No one really knows. It's so funny because Mark a couple of years ago was asked like, oh, like what would you take from like everyone you've ever competed with to make like the perfect MotoGP like competitor? And he dropped a little bit of like Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi and Danny Pedrosa and Casey Stoner and like he dropped the big names. And then kind of at the very end of his like thought process, he goes, and something of Maverick Vinales. And everyone was like,
what?
And I think it's so interesting when you kind of like talk to athletes about their peers and they like say this kind of stuff and you're like, what? Like, what are you seeing that like I'm genuinely respectfully asking?
Maybe it was his name, so he could be Maverick Marquez, which would fuck super hard.
That actually would. But like, people rate Maverick, which is so funny to me because he's obviously very talented, but he shows up for his shift like once a year and then is always P1 or P2 in testing sessions. Always. Which is what happened in the Jerez testing today. It's so weird. So I guess watch this space. We'll see if he continues to be consistent. I don't know. Like,
I don't know.
The last thing I would have assumed. If anything, Maverick's inconsistency is consistent. So now I'm like,
wow,
what's going on?
That's deep.
I feel like I woke up in an alternate universe when I realized that he's been doing well.
So beyond Maverick Vignelli's consistency. Let's talk about the race, shall we?
If we must.
Every time I watch Mark come up to the start, it looks like his bike is a bucking bronco and he can't stay on it.
So, yes, that is by design. And that is a thing that is regulated across the entire grid right now. And it's a huge issue. Everybody hates it. Essentially what that does, there's a thing called a hole shot device. I understand that that's a bit goofy and a bit funny. We progress.
Most things are in this sport.
The hole shot device, essentially what happens is that it lowers the bike when it's going through corners and when you're kind of like taking off at the beginning from the grid. The problem is, and it's supposed to help with speed, in conjunction with all of the aero that's on the bike. So not only do you have to like race people, figure out gears, all of that other shit that's like inherent to very, very stressful, busy racing series, you also have to like turn the hole shot device on when you're turning and like racing. It's a whole thing. How you set it up to start at the beginning of every single race is you brake really fucking hard. And that's why you see every time they finish the warm up and they come close to like their little box and it looks like they're doing a reverse wheelie, like they're doing brake stops. That's how they turn the hole shot device on.
That makes a lot more sense.
It looks really weird. A lot of the times doing that to turn it on doesn't work, even though that is the way that you turn it on. And so that's why, because Mark didn't have such a great launch, I think there's probably truth to the matter that something was getting screwed up with his hole shot device, especially knowing that he had technical issues all weekend.
Yeah, and then it didn't even really matter much, did it?
Yeah, it didn't really matter.
That he got a rough start because he fucked it.
Once again, Marc Marquez is the only person who's going to lose this championship.
And you know what? From ashes to ashes, dust to dust, Marquez to Marquez.
Exactly. I was thinking about it, and I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about like, what if this championship is actually a Marquez championship fight and it just goes back and forth between him and Alex?
And it would be the greatest thing in the world.
Which is the story so far.
It'd be amazing.
It'd be hilarious.
I thought that this was such a fun race to watch, especially in the first 5 laps or so. We saw really, really great racing at the front between Alex and Fabio. We saw Mark and Pecco make contact. We saw...
Yes, quite a bit.
And then after they made contact, what was it, like a lap later, he crashed out in front of his stands.
And you know what? They're used to it.
All of the stands at Jerez are probably Marc Marquez stands. But also, he's got haters, he's got fans, he got stands in the stands. They hate him either way, they stand in bands.
Exactly. But I think they're also used to it. Like, he does this all the time. Like, he can't...
I think I saw a quote from him that was like, besides the 2 times I've made a mistake, I've won everything else. So is it really that bad?
Which is such a classic Marc Marquezism. If you ignore the shit that I fucked up, I'm winning.
If you ignore all the losses, I'm kind of always winning.
He truly is the embodiment of that one movie, Never Stop, Never Stopping.
Pop star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, the greatest cinematic masterpiece of our time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was a really exciting race. I mean, he even still had a really great comeback.
Yeah. I think it was a very like vintage, classic Mark coming back up kind of race. I kind of wish they'd kept the cameras on him a little bit longer because I know in my heart of hearts, he was pulling some shit back at the back of the race. Because that's what he
100%.
does.
100%.
I wanted to watch him commit crimes.
Yeah, know in your heart of hearts that they did happen. And then Alex overtakes Fabio for the lead and wins for the very first time at his home race.
It was very exciting. And
it was very exciting.
I think it's such a credit to Alex. And I think this season was really make or break for him. The like overall arc of Alex's career, you can see like this season, I think was really important to show that growth because Alex is a Moto2 World Championship winner. Like he's not just here because of Mark. He's a winner in his own right. And I think this season was really important to drive that point home and make that very clear.
And he's been so consistent this season. He truly is. Move over, Maverick. But Alex has been the consistency king of the season.
He has. I think Alex is very, very aware of the moments in which he just has to lock it down. And that's what Sunday felt like to me.
Another thing that I really enjoyed was the MM93 stands kind of just adopting Alex was just very sweet. They were so excited for him. First brothers to win in MotoGP, which is also very exciting.
I feel comfortable saying this because I think it's true. And I don't even feel like an asshole. But like, if you like Mark or you like Alex, you have to then also like Alex or like Mark.
They're a pair.
Yeah.
They're brothers.
They're attached to the hip. Mark rolled his way in to Parc Ferme during like when they roll the bikes up to P1, P2, and P3. He just like shoved his way in, hopped over the fence, and commentary was like, oh, he doesn't have the right pass to be in there. Like, haha, he can't be in Parc Ferme. Bitch, when your name is Marc Marquez, you run this joint, and your little brother just won his first race.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Watch me.
I think we said this before Qatar when we were talking about perhaps him extending his championship lead, that it just felt refreshing. Like it felt nice. It felt good. It felt happy. And here we are, and he's once again leading the championship. You know what? It does feel nice and good and happy.
I'm pleased.
I'm pleased.
Is it how I want the season to end? No, but I'm pleased.
I'm enjoying the ride.
Exactly.
It was a great weekend.
Except for the ways it wasn't.
Except for the ways it wasn't, which there were those ways. What did you write about Mark in our notes?
Oh, I said, Mark, I'm killing you in my mind. Sorry, if Mark wants to do the epic highs and lows of the Marc Marquez experience, that's fine. He can do that. In fact, I encourage it. If that's your artistic process, go for it. However, I then reserve the right
to kill you
in my mind with hammers. When you ruin my Sunday afternoon that is 65 and sunny and beautiful.
So anything else about the race weekend, or shall we get into the great wide world of motorsport?
I think the only other thing about the race weekend is that there were quite a few crashes. Frankie crashed, and for a little bit of time there, it looked like he had a cervical concussion, which has to do with the neck bones.
That's so wild that the neck is also called that, because cervical is a whole different ballgame. Why is it also called that?
I don't know.
Okay, I need the human body to get new words for things. He got a cervix concussion.
Frankie, how is your cervix? Please let us know.
Let's do a cervical exam on Frankie Morbidelli. A lot of legends there, MotoGP legends.
Oh, yeah. Also, Valentino Rossi was there again, 2 races in a row.
I know. He was there. Danny Pedrosa was there. I did see that shock of gray hair that you mentioned last week, and I did enjoy it.
Yeah, he's very handsome. Andrea Dovizioso was also there, which was very cute. He had a very sweet moment with Fabio Quartararo because Dovi works with the Yamaha squad, which is very cool. It was really funny watching commentary of the race because they went from Andrea Dovizioso to Danny Pedrosa to Valentino Rossi, and we're kind of like in their feelings about the good old days. Meanwhile, Marc Marquez
he's still there.
2 seconds up the road.
He's not dead yet.
They were like, well, the good old days, Marc Marquez is still here.
Wild.
I think that's the note I want to end on for our coverage of the Jerez MotoGP weekend. Marc Marquez, still here.
So true. I guess that brings us to the great wide world of motorsport. We were off this week in Formula One, but don't worry, the Miami GP Lando Norris dick sucking has already begun. Everyone has got him so far down their throats, being like, oh, 1 year ago he won. Is he going to win again? Everybody, can we all shut the fuck up? I hate Miami. I hate Miami so much. I hate the city of Miami. I hate the Miami airport. I hate everything about Miami as a concept. I think we should saw off the south of Florida, really all of Florida, save for my grandfather and grandmother, and just let them go adrift at sea.
I respect that that's what you think. And I, for one, will not be tempting the Florida man that I'm so afraid of.
This race brings such vibes.
They're bad. The vibes are bad every year.
Yeah. So the vibes are going to be bad, but I think that V-Carb teased a little pink on their Instagram today. So maybe this year we will see B-Carb. Barbie V-Carb.
The V-Carby?
The V-Carby! So good. Yes, the V-Carby. Hopefully we see the V-Carby. Trademarks MotoMouths 2025. Say what you will about V-Carb. liquidate them, for instance. But they do tend to pop off at Miami with their liveries.
I think in general, they tend to pop off with the liveries.
Yeah.
Which is something, at least.
Something. They've got two things going for them. My beloved baby boy capybara Isaac Hadjar and their liveries.
Yeah, that's it.
So let's talk about previewing Miami. Let's all take a moment to reflect what happened here last year.
Should we? I think I'm just going to be sad.
Daniel Ricciardo P4 sprint race? Question mark?
Period.
I will never know the epic joys and highs of seeing him overtake Checo Perez for P3 ever again. I'll never feel anything like that ever again. But anyways, so last year, of course, this was when Max, God forbid women have any fun and run over a bollard traffic cone. But he ran over a little traffic cone situation. And unfortunately, that led to Lando Norris getting his first win in Formula One.
I will say, in 2023, Miami was the beginning of Max's 10-run win streak, wasn't it?
Indeed it was.
When he did his little in-park Ferme point at number 1.
Oh, yeah, that fucked so
cunty
hard.
moment.
Little cunty moment.
What a time.
What a time to be alive.
Truly the epic highs and lows of the Miami GP.
And now we're dead and back at Miami. So shall we make our predictions for Miami?
Yes, I'll go first. I think it's going to be a Max P1. I think we're going to have Oscar P2. And I'm going to go with George Russell P3.
Excellent.
And just for shits and giggles, I'm going to go with Orlando P4.
All right, Fail King.
Fail King, Esteban Ocon.
Interesting. I think those are great predictions. I'm going to go P1. McLaren are cheaters, and I think that MBS is going to throw this for Zach Brown so they can have their little Lando winning back-to-back narrative. That's what I foresee, so I'm going to say Lando P1. I hate it, but I think it's going to be rigged in his favor. P2, I'm going to say Max. I think he's excellent around this track. And then P3, I'm going to go for Yuki Tsunoda getting his first podium at Red Bull.
Okay, I love that.
He got a P7 here last year in a V-carb, and I think that this could be good for him. He's been making upward progress, so I think that this could happen. And then I'll say Oscar just landing right off the podium at P4. And then for my Fail King, let's go with Fernando.
He was on my list. Food for thought. I hate to bring it up. Do we think we're going to get a Trump feature this weekend?
God, I hope it doesn't happen. I fucking hate that man. You may ask, wow, Zoe really shits on Lando Norris pretty hard. I didn't used to be this way. I didn't used to hate him so fervently.
I think we could hate him harder.
I think we could hate him harder, considering the reason why I shit on him so hard is because he called that fascist orange fuck his lucky charm and said that he should come to more races.
He did do that.
There were a million things that would make me hate Lando Norris, rightfully, but that is at the top of the list. He has forever ruined his image in my eyes.
Zoe, how could you say that and not take into account
his mental health?
He thinks people should think about mental health.
He thinks that mental health.
He thinks mental health. Thinking mental health is a full sentence.
Mental health.
Mental health.
Yeah, so fuck Lando Norris. And speaking of people I don't like, fuck Checo Perez and these rumors that he's going to get the Cadillac seat next year.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's the Kit Kat money.
It's the Kit Kat money. It 100% is.
I mean, look, he's a pay driver. They're going to need money in that first year, but it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah, like I don't really have anything else to say other than that it's the Kit Kat money.
Is Kit Kat still the official chocolate bar of F1, or did that go by the wayside when he lost his seat?
I feel like it had to have gone by the wayside, but I wonder if like what their contract was. Because there was a contract. There had to have been.
Did they break the contract? Did they break me off a piece of that contract bar?
So
the other thing that I want to talk about in the great wide world of motorsports is our beloved queen, Abbi Pulling.
A fan of the pod.
Fan of the pod, as in she liked one of our posts about her one time. Had a fantastic debut weekend in British GB3. She never finished below 6th. I think she qualified like P4, P5, or P6. I'm not sure. She finished 2 races, P5 and P6. Had a really stellar weekend in GB3. The other thing about GB3 is that they did this post where they like released their driver title sequence. And it's a really great year in GB3 because we have 2 women racing. We have Abbi and we have Bianca Bustamante. And these title cards were so fucking funny because you have these like poor, pubescent teenage boys trying their best. And then these goddesses in Bianca Bustamante and Abbi pulling, like standing there in the middle, just looking glorious. And it cracked me up.
I love that for them. That's really fucking funny.
I'm going to send this to you because I want you to watch it. It's so funny to me.
It's like all these, I mean this like with no hatred in my heart, but a bunch of boys.
It's a bunch of boys and then 2
incredible women.
Incredible young women. You get them, girls.
Honestly, go off, Abbi.
Go off, Abbi. Go off, Bianca. More women in motorsport, the better.
Totally. In a similar vein, something big happened in MotoGP history over the weekend as well. In this weekend's Red Bull rookie race, Kristian Daniel became the first African-American to stand on a podium in a Grand Prix.
Whoa!
And he's like a really sweet kid.
That is huge.
Look at him.
Has there ever been a Black MotoGP rider?
I don't think so. Like, I'm reasonably sure it's a no, but I haven't like dug through the records to be 100%. So yeah, no. Michael Jordan at one point was like into Superbike.
Michael Jordan? How'd he fit on it?
As a team owner.
That makes a lot more sense.
I thought you were like doing a bit, and then I realized you weren't.
No, I genuinely was concerned that the bike wouldn't be able to move forward.
No.
He's 7 feet tall.
I know. I know who Michael Jordan is. I'm looking up this kid. He rides under the number 70, and he is 16 years old from Los Angeles, California. So in his little blurb on the website, there's a quote from him that says, "My mom and dad joke that my love for racing started before I was born, because when my mom was pregnant with me, she and my dad went to a MotoGP race at Laguna Seca. My dad was and still is a diehard MotoGP fan. So when I was 4, he took me to my first MotoGP race in Austin, Texas." Look at this.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
He looks just like his dad.
Oh my God, the cheeks.
The first time I saw a MotoGP bike fly past me at 200 miles an hour. Wow, it's so soothing to see miles an hour. I felt something light up inside of me, and I knew this was my passion. We actually had paddock passes for that race, so I got a chance to meet a few of the MotoGP riders, and this made my passion even stronger. It was the race where Marc Marquez won his first MotoGP race. I rode my first motorcycle around age 5 when a friend with a motocross track let me ride their PW50. I crashed so many times, but I just kept riding because I was in love. In 2018, my family and I moved to Barcelona because there's a great structure for developing young riders. I raced mini GP bikes, 110cc 4-stroke for the next couple of years, and I learned a lot because I was racing against the best kids in the world. It's just like,
what a sweetie.
I'm a fan. My dad was my mechanic and my coach up until I was in the European Talent Cup, and my mom used to drive me around if my dad was working. They've both worked full-time the whole time, so they invested a lot of time and money to make this happen. My grandparents also supported me a lot, especially my grandma on my mom's side. She is a small fashion business and has been one of my main sponsors throughout the years.
What a sweetie.
This is like, Marc Marquez, move over.
Yeah, this is a Kristian Daniels Jr. podcast now.
Yeah.
Fan podcast.
When I'm not racing, I like to play video games like Fortnite and Roblox with my friends from school or friends from the paddock. It sounds like I'm going to cry because I am.
He's so cute. He's a baby.
I also enjoy training a lot. I love spending time in the gym, training on all types of motorcycles, and this year I'll be getting into cycling. As an American, Nicky Hayden has to be my biggest hero.
Oh.
And he has taste. Nicky Hayden was the coolest, most successful American MotoGP rider, so I look up to him because I also want to be a MotoGP world champion. Oh my God, there's a picture with him and Jorge! I also look up to the Supercross legend James Bubba Stewart because he was the first and only Black 450 Supercross champion. He was also one of the fastest racers to ever race Supercross. I really like the idea of becoming the first Black MotoGP rider and champion to add my name to motorsport legends like James Stewart and Lewis Hamilton.
King!
Sorry, I'm obsessed with him.
I'm obsessed with this kid. He's such a cutie.
Wow. I'm just so... Anyways, it's fine.
I hope all of his dreams come true.
He came up with the captions for the photos and on this page, and he goes, Jerez, where the season and my love affair with the KTM started. I love him.
One of his sponsors for 2024 is an animal rescue based in Spain.
I can't. Sorry, that is like truly like, he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. He's a little mensch.
He's a good boy.
Zoe is fully she's crying.
I sucked it in so I wouldn't cry on camera.
She's fully crying. We should invite him on the podcast.
Oh my God. I gotta like get my shit together before we do that. But otherwise, yes, we totally should.
Anyways, I think that's a great note to end on before we switch to the grid as ... For the uninitiated, the grid as ... is a moment in our podcast where we categorize a handful of riders and drivers from across the great wide world of motorsport as a person, place, concept, thing, idea, being. And today we will be going with famous younger siblings. Okay, would you like to go first?
Yes, I would love to. My choices will be Maverick Viñales and Alex Marquez. Maverick Viñales is Dylan, Zac Efron's brother.
Excellent choice.
In the sense that he has existed and everyone's like, wait, you exist?
He exists?
And you're kind of cool? Question mark? That's Maverick.
That's a really good one.
Thank you. Came to me in a dream. My next rider is Alex Marquez.
Famous younger sibling.
Famous younger sibling, so I had to do him for this. And I do feel very strongly about this one as well. Alex Marquez is Lilo Pelikai from Lilo and Stitch.
Yes. And does that make Mark Stitch?
It makes Mark Stitch and Nani.
So true.
And I think it was also very clear, like, during this whole weekend with Alex's win, is that, like, Mark was like, that's my little brother. There's just like an emotion there that I think was so lovely.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's Stitch because he's batshit crazy. And he's Nani because he's the oldest and Alex is his baby.
I think that's such a good one. Okay, for my first one, I'm going to go with our boy, Jack Doohan. Jack Doohan is Liam Hemsworth.
Whoa, go on.
Obviously, in this metaphor, Daniel Ricciardo is Chris Hemsworth.
Okay.
Yeah, Liam Hemsworth had a really, successful career, kind of. But he was definitely always in the shadow of Chris Hemsworth, who had both commercial and critical success. And he's cute, but he's not as cute as Chris.
I see. I love your vision here.
And then I'm going to do Lando Norris. And Lando Norris, to me, is Kylie Jenner.
Yeah. With her shitty little lip kits that we all bought that were so bad.
And also because they're like, she's the first ever, self-made billionaire. And then she didn't have $1 billion.
$1 billion.
And then fundamentally, this is the most Lando Norris part about it, is that people started a GoFundMe to get her to $1 billion.
I forgot people did that.
They didn't realize that you didn't have to raise $1 million to make it 1 billion when she was at $900 million. You had to raise $100 million. And those are Lando Norris fans.
I sometimes forget how stupid people can be. That's so unbelievably stupid.
Big Lando Norris energy.
Yeah.
And Lando Norris would probably date Timothée Chalamet.
He totally would. That's exactly the kind of person that Lando Norris is like, yep, cool.
I think we really nailed that. A home run, if you will. Where we didn't get a home run in our Jerez predictions, we got a home run in our grid as ... categorizations.
Yeah, and that's what's really important.
So that brings us to the end of our podcast. Next week, we will go over the results of the Miami Grand Prix, or as they say, a Miami Grand Prix. We'll make our predictions for Le Mans, MotoGP Le Mans. Yeah, we'll just have a great time all around. Come hang out with us on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube at MotoMouths. We're having a real fun time over there. Grand old time.
We do make fun of Mark Webber a good amount, so come hang out.
We do make fun of Mark Webber a good amount. And let's keep chatting soon. Goodbye. Bye.